Right.
All right, everybody ready? Okay. Call the meeting to order. Today is Thursday, March 26th. This is the regular city council meeting for the city of Tallulah. Call the meeting to order. Let's all stand for the pledge and the prayer. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father God, we come to you tonight with bowed heads and humble hearts, asking you to guide this meeting tonight. Let this meeting be used for the prosperity of Tallulah and its citizens. Father God, I also ask you to bless every head of every city, of every state, of every country. Father God, we ask this in your son Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Okay, Gerald, can we have a roll call, please?
Wells. Here. Day.
Here.
Harris.
Here.
Houston.
Here.
Scott.
Here.
Okay, so we have a quorum. We've got a lot on the agenda tonight, so I'm gonna ask everybody if we can stick to the subject matters, to make sure that we have time to address everything. Next on the agenda is public comments on the agenda. And before I go to the council or to the audience, I have a couple things. Number 9, approved Tallulah wastewater facility municipal water pollution prevention audit. There's also supposed to be a resolution for that. I put a resolution in front of you guys. All it says is that you guys have read it, that we have approved it, which is exactly what the agenda is asking. So I'm asking if we can add the approval of the resolution to the agenda so that we can get that all tied up. Is there a motion to that effect?
Motion to add the resolution for the approval.
Okay, we have a proper motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, proper motion by Ms. Houston, proper second by Mr. Scott. We have a roll call vote, please. Gerald?
Wells.
Yes.
Yes. Day.
Yes.
Harris.
Yes.
Houston.
Yes.
And Scott.
Yes.
Okay, thank y'all, I appreciate that. And then the other thing is, if you guys wouldn't mind if we moved, number 9 up before number 8. Is that all right with y'all? Okay. Okay, audience, any public comments on the agenda? Council?
Yes.
Okay.
You know, when I saw the agenda, and I go back to the last 3 years, every time we're going to discuss the audit, we overwhelm the agenda with all kind of items. This has been a continuous pattern. I looked at it, I was attending print on because there's issues with this audit that needs to be discussed. And that's why I was adamant a couple weeks ago about instead of canceling the meeting on Thursday, to have that meeting on Wednesday. Because it's too much to dig into this audit to say, well, let's stick to the script. Because there's a lot of stuff in this audit that needs to be discussed, a lot. And then we put all these items on this agenda every year since I've been in this council. You overwhelm the agenda with stuff. And I think that's intentional. And I really wish that we would, it's too late now, but then when we're going to discuss this audit, I really wish the audit would be the only thing on the agenda. Because right now it's really loaded to where you can't do a deep dive into what's in this audit the way it's needed to. And we got to stop doing that when it's time to discuss this audit.
Okay, anyone else have any comments on the agenda? Okay, next item is the approval of the minutes of the February 26, 2026 regular meeting. Are there any corrections, additions, deletions? Okay, being none, is there a motion to accept the minutes as written?
Motion that the minutes be accepted as written.
Okay, we have a proper motion by Mrs. Day. May I have a second? by Ms. Harris. All in favor say aye. Any opposed?
Yes.
Okay, next is the Section 8 report.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Section 8, has, provided each one of you with the information that I will just paraphrase. And I included in the packet the articles, that I received that has, it was resent out to me. As you can see on that date, it was December 22nd, and it was just a reminder of our current level of shortfall funding for our program, and just reminding us as housing authorities and PHAs to continue trying to the issuance of vouchers, just to try to keep a hold on what's going on as far as our managing our funds for the program. Are there any questions in regards to that?
So right now, we don't have any funds to do any new vouchers.
Correct. Right now, we're still on the 2025 funding as far as the budget for 2025. We should know something by April, the beginning of April. As of yesterday, we would know whether or not our budget for 2026 will pass and how much funding that we will have, for the fiscal year. Also, we are still at a standstill with no issuance of vouchers. At this point, we're not even allowed to let anyone transfer a voucher unless they're being absorbed. In other words, being ported out, and we don't have to pay for them being moved or housed somewhere else at another housing authority. I updated you all with the number of participants. We have 47 out of our possible 63 that we can house for our agency. There are currently 21 active owners or property managers, and that's it. We're still not accepting any vouchers. We're not issuing any vouchers, and we don't have any vouchers that are currently in search, or anyone that's currently holding a voucher and in search of a unit. I included the monthly half for February and March. February's half was $21,267.47, and March half was $20,027.45. That concludes my report.
Okay, council, you guys have any questions?
Yes, see, my concern, I'm okay with receiving a handout, but we never see numbers. We never see revenues, we never see expenditures or anything concerning the housing authority. Then when you look at the audit, Section 8 was spent over budgeted $33,000, which means it was in the deficit at the end of the year according to what's budgeted. So we never see financials. We never see numbers. We're always given this report right here. We never see what goes out, what comes in, what's being spent on, any type of financing is going on with the housing authority or Section 8 program. We never see anything. Then at the end of the year, when we get an audit, we see Section 8 had excess expenditures over appropriations.
So if I remember correctly, when we did the review of the special funds, we went over Section 8. That was a month and a half or so ago. Am I incorrect?
Next meeting.
No, but what I'm saying is, we never see where if I ask a question, okay, the Section 8 spent $1,000 on maintenance. I'll say, okay, what kind of maintenance did we do? We never get a clear-cut answer. Well, it could have been the HVAC system, it could have been this. There's nothing ever presented to us in a packet. We get spreadsheets all the time, even this. We're gonna deal with this in a minute. We get spreadsheets all the time. It never shows us anything concrete. That's why I say we need to start saying invoices. We have to see something. Because when we deal with these financials, it is some stuff in the financials, but we're already in trouble.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
Are you giving an example as far as if there are any invoices as far as maintenance, Are you giving that as an
So I was
example?
mainly as an example.
An example,
Yeah,
okay.
an example.
Because I just want to, add to that, when it comes to our agency, I mentioned before, I think you brought this up before. We don't have any maintenance as far as with the properties. Those are totally upon the landlords or the property owners. So we don't invoice, we don't have any kind of maintenance responsibilities.
I understand, I use maintenance. as an
Okay,
example.
I just-
What I'm saying is, even at the end of the year, with Section 8, whatever's being spent on, we're spending more than we have budgeted, to where we have $33,000 in a deficit at the end of the fiscal year. But we never see where these funds are going to, what is being spent on, what we have. That's my concern. And every time we get the financials being presented, oh, everything's looking good, everything's looking good, we're in good shape right here. So that's my concern. That's why as a council, we need to start seeing documentation.
Do you have more on your report, Ms. Brown?
That's it, that concludes my report.
Any of the other council members have any questions? Any questions from the audience?
I have a question. How did we get in the bills? How was what was the?
I was not aware of us being in a deficit. Even when getting a report from audit, Section 8 always is passed, so I'm not familiar with that. So I can't,
We got to do this the very this time.
Let's look them up under that. Okay, so do we need to approve your report?
no, as long as everything's good.
All right, next item on the agenda is approved cooperative endeavor agreement and task order to engage Hunt, Gilead, and Associates for winter storm firm reimbursement. And there was supposed to be a gentleman here from HGA, Tracy Hilburn. So what has happened is, we have been able to, ask for some reimbursement funds from winter storm firm, as far as, overtime, equipment used, those sorts of things. This particular firm has contracted with the police jury to put in their items, and under that contract, it says that the city of Tallulah could work under that contract so that we can do it as well. So this particular cooperative endeavor agreement is for us to be able to work with HGA. They'll help us, guide us through the FEMA paperwork and everything, which can be a little cumbersome sometimes. We believe that the expenses that we have probably won't go over $40,000 if it even goes up that much. HGA would only be able to be paid up to 5%. So the $2,000 that's on the task order that's in front of the council is a maximum amount that they could be paid. So, are there any questions, council? Okay. Any no questions? Is there a motion to approve?
Ma'am, of course.
Okay.
What are they gonna actually be responsible, just doing paperwork for us?
Yes. Guiding, yeah. FEMA grants, can be a little cumbersome. And for that small amount of money, which will come out of our reimbursement, to ensure that we're doing it correctly. I've never done a FEMA reimbursement. So just to make sure that it's done correctly, that is the task order that we have in front of us. Do we have any other questions? Okay, now, is there a motion to approve this cooperative endeavor agreement and the task order with HGA?
Motion to approve.
We have a proper motion, is there a second?
Second.
Proper motion, a second. Gerald, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Wells,
No.
Day,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Okay, so we did move number 9 up, and that is the approval of the Tallulah wastewater facility municipal water pollution prevention audit, and also the accompanying resolution. So every year, our wastewater treatment plant is audited by Tallulah Environmental. It's a company that's been doing it for us for a while. The object is every year to try and lower your numbers, your total score. In 2023, we had 115 points. In 2024, we had 117 points. And this year, last year in 2025, we did go down to 114 points. So the numbers are moving in the correct way. We've had some issues out at the wastewater treatment plant. Specifically, there is a test, and I think I've mentioned this to you guys before, that there's a little minnow and a little flea. And when the effluent, which is the water going out, they test that, they put the minnow in, they put the flea in, and they're both supposed to not only reproduce but thrive. And we have been failing that for years. We have finally, over the past 3 months, passed the test. So once you pass it 3 times in a row, now we can go to quarterly testing as opposed to monthly. The monthly testing was like almost $4,000. So it is gonna help us save some money out there. We have 3 aerators that are in the pond that are working. We clean those aerators periodically. We have 1 right now that's being repaired. So when that's repaired, we'll have 4 aerators in the pond in operation. Everybody has heard about the liner in the pond. I shouldn't say everybody has heard, but I think the council is aware of the liner that we have in the pond. We're still trying to find some money to get that fixed. And the biggest thing is we're moving inside of our parameters right now. So moving in the correct direction. You guys have looked over the audit. Are there any questions in the audit?
So what are the possible numbers? What is the highest number? Is it, am I correct, is it 560?
I haven't added them all up.
I think I added 560. And out of 560, we got 114 points. And you said we're moving in the right direction.
Right, your points are supposed to be going down, not up.
Okay. I'll make sure.
Any other questions? Okay, is there a motion to approve the audit and the resolution?
Motion to approve the audit and.
For the resolution. Okay, we have a proper motion by Ms. Harris. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, second by Ms. Days. Gerald, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Still, Mayor, doesn't the resolution want to tell what steps we're gonna take to improve?
No, the resolution is supposed to say that you all have reviewed it and that you agree with it, and what else is on there? Yeah. That we're required to submit it, that you guys have reviewed it, and that you are approving it.
This says that the resolution must tell the steps that we're gonna take by the city council.
Okay. And I looked at that, and I don't think that it has all of the information, I'm looking at that correctly, let me go back to it. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what we can do. Let's see. Yeah, see, if you see that, it does not say, that resolution doesn't say that you guys have reviewed it, it doesn't say that you've approved it. So, this is the resolution that we've used for the last, umpteen years, not saying that, just because it's the last one that we used, it's correct. But we have not gotten anything back from DEQ that says, hey, you need to, change that resolution. However, the resolution is in front of us. If we wanted to add something to it, we can do that now.
See, it gives you instructions on this page. It says the resolution or letter must acknowledge the governing body or owner has reviewed the environmental audit. B, the resolution must indicate specific actions, if any, will be taken to maintain compliance, prevent effluent violations. Proposed actions should address the parts of maximum responsible generating environmental audit, and the resolution should provide any other information the governing body deems. So we have included in the resolution the actions we're gonna take in order for the system to stay compliant.
Okay, and that's something that we can add now to this resolution. Mr. Goods, is here, and he can help us with next steps.
Well, it's in the paperwork that that packet that you have,
Mhm.
you know, our steps, to continue to improve. You know, we're gonna improve our aeration, work on our flow meters and, with the flow meters and the recirculating pumps. But there's a list in there of what we're gonna do to improve.
Okay, so taking into consideration Councilman Wells' concerns there, I think what we can do is go ahead and, wait, hold on just one second, just approve the audit. Obviously, the resolution will not be approved tonight. We can add whatever the steps are, we can bring that to the next meeting. So the resolution portion of it can be tabled, but we can approve the audit itself. That way we can turn the approval and the minutes in, let them know that the resolution didn't have everything that we needed when we came before the council, and we can go from there.
See, I'll make a motion that we table the entire action. You know, because the instructions for this thing is clearly given. It's clearly given. And I understand how you all don't vote, but it clearly tells us steps 1 through 7. It tells what are we supposed to do on page number 1. So in order to approve the audit, we have to have a resolution accompanying it. So I just say just table the audit and the audit until we get the resolution straight. I don't think it hurts anything just to table.
Okay, so, this council has approved this resolution for the last 3 years.
I have not.
Okay, just saying, I didn't single anybody out, I said the council as a whole.
I'd like to make a motion.
Hold on, just one second. Okay, Ms. Day, yes, ma'am.
Well, I was just saying that the audit is complete, but the resolution isn't. So why should we continue this one when we can just, the resolution was just added to this?
No.
So why should we?
So what Councilman Wells is saying, okay?
No, let me say what I'm saying, okay? What I'm saying is, Ms. Day, the resolution is an integral part to the audit. It's not a separate piece, even though Mayor Lewis is trying to say that. This is a part of the audit. You cannot submit the audit without the resolution accompanying it. It has to be accompanied with your audit. You can't say I'm gonna approve the audit and the resolution is not right.
Mr. Goods has said that
Mr. Goods-
direction for whatever that needs to be done.
Did you read the packet today? Did you read it? See, it tells you, in order to submit the environmental audit to the government body or owner for review and approval, the governing body must pass a resolution which contains the following items that the audit has indicated. So you're gonna have to send a resolution with your audit.
And what I said was, I believe we're saying the same thing.
We're not.
Okay, then we're not. You guys can approve the audit tonight, if you so choose. And then we can put the corrective actions on and bring the resolution back. Or as Mr. Councilman Wells has said, if you guys wanna table the whole thing, you can table the whole thing.
So how do I rescind my motion? Do I just rescind the motion, or can I rescind the motion? And then just make a motion to table it, or I rescind the motion that I made?
So,
And I signed the resignation.
okay, Ms. Harris rescinded her original motion to approve the audit.
And I want to interject a substitute motion.
Okay, hold on, her subsequent, motion was to table this item, these 2 items on the agenda. Councilman Wells, second that motion. So now can we have a roll call vote, please?
Now, what are we roll calling then?
Tabling, the approval of the audit and the approval of the resolution.
The only thing I'm saying is let's get it right now. Before we approve anything, let's go and get everything right. So then once we approve the resolution, we approve the audit, and just go and submit it at one time. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor with a proper second. And the motion is to table the approval of the MWPP audit and the approval of the accompanying resolution.
Roll call.
Okay, Wells,
Yes.
Day,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Houston,
No,
Scott,
No.
Repeat.
He said no.
Okay, we got that?
Motion carried.
Thank you, guys. Okay, next item on the agenda is the presentation of the 24-25 audit and agreed upon procedures. For the audience, the legislative auditor does not have this particular audit up on their website yet. If you want to follow along, it is on the City of Tallulah's website. Just go to cityoftallulah.org. Scroll down halfway through. The big audit will be there. I believe that we made copies of the agreed upon procedures, and they were out with the agendas.
Okay, my question is, why isn't this audit uploaded to the legislative auditor's website?
I can't answer that question.
It has been uploaded to their website. As far as the legislative archive, they have a review process and I think it's still running.
It's never taken 2 months.
Okay, Mr. Murray?
Okay. So my name is John Murray. I'm with Morgan and Jenkins, formerly the Board of CPA.
Let me get this.
We performed the audit for the year to June 30th.
Hold on, Mr. Murray, so that everybody can hear you.
All right. Excuse me. So we performed the audit for the year to June 30, 2025. I'll go through some highlights. If you have any questions, just let me know. The first thing I want to go over is our opinion, which can be found on page 1. So for the audit this year, we did have a different opinions for our different reporting units. We audited the financial statements in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards and with governmental auditing standards. And so our opinion on all the reporting units was unmodified or a clean opinion, with the exception of the Magnolia Water Fund. This is the fund that accounts for the water system that has been taken into receivership. And the reason that was disclaimed was because we were not able to obtain the information from Magnolia Water to do our testing of like the revenues and expenses and our testing of the account balance.
Okay, Mr. Murray, let me stop right there.
Yes.
You said you was not able to obtain the financials from that company.
So we did obtain their trial balance. They gave us a trial balance, which included all the accounts, which are included in the financial statements. What they did not give us was like the details of those account balances and also the revenue billing registers so that we could do our testing.
So you can do a proper auditing of the information that they presented to you, is what you're saying?
Yes, to do the audit, we would need.
And so just so everyone knows, and I believe that I told everyone this before, when this came up, I reached out to the governor's office. I let them know that they had asked for the information and that they did not receive it. I also reached out to the legislative auditor's office to let them know that was, it's not Tallulah's responsibility to give that. I wanted everybody who was in, all of the stakeholders to know. You guys asked for the information and it did not come. And my understanding is that they are working to ensure that that does not happen again.
So, Mr. Murray, one other question. When a company fails to provide you with financial information that's requested, what's your next step of action, course of action?
So the only thing we could do is, we could, we basically give our opinion. So I mean, that's what we do.
So you're not required to report that to the legislative auditor's office?
So yeah, we
Yes or no?
basically in this report,
Yes or
and
no?
we also communicated with the legislative auditor.
Okay, again, a simple question, a simple answer. If they do not provide you with the information that you requested, are you required by law to report that information or lack of to the legislative auditor's office?
Yeah, I'd have to go back and look at the law, but probably so. So I think so, and we did communicate for sure.
We gotta stop doing this.
And also, again, the city contacted the legislative auditor's office as well.
It's the law doesn't state the city. The law states that the auditor that audits your finances for the annual audit is supposed to turn that information over to the legislative auditor's office. Mr. Murray knows that. He knows he's supposed to do that. So we talked about this once before.
And we had communicated with the legislative
Yes.
auditor regarding.
No, not when you submit the audit uploading. You're supposed to tell them that this company did not provide you the information that's requested. Because we talked about the last time with Madison Point. Right. So it's supposed to be reported, and it's not being reported.
Okay, so the next thing we'll go over is the financial statements themselves. For the governmental financial statements, there's two different sets.
Let me stop you for a second because I want to make sure that everyone is clear, including myself. Okay, when you say you communicated with the legislative auditor's office to Councilman Wells' point, I think the question is, did you guys do what you were supposed to do in telling them or not? I'm just asking the question.
So, yeah, I believe that we communicated with them, because, you know, after the fact, and basically the communicated with them as far as, you know, kind of what happened, what we needed to see and what we didn't see.
So after the fact, you didn't do it before?
We did not do it before. So the next is for the financial statements themselves, and I'll go over the fund financial statements, which begin on page 23. For the governmental funds, which these are short-term in nature and focus on short-term assets and liabilities. The general fund at June 30th, 2025 had total assets of $2.2 million, liabilities of $306,000, and an unassigned fund balance of $1.9 million. The Section 8 fund had total assets of $63,000, liabilities of $626, and a restricted fund balance of $60,000. This is on page 23. For the American Rescue Fund, had total assets of about $600,000, and that would have liabilities of that same amount. The Capital Projects Fund had assets of $181,000 and liabilities of that same amount, because those are cost reimbursement grants. And your non-major fund had total assets of $89,000, liabilities of $138,000, and a negative fund balance of $49,000. Next, I'll go over the income statement for the fund basis fund.
So you got negative fund balance?
Yes, for the street fund, non-major governmental fund.
So we have a negative fund balance for the street fund. Okay.
So the income statement is on page 25. And you can see the general fund took in revenues of $3.6 million, had expenditures of $3.8 million, and had a excess of expenditures of $142,000. There were $135,000 of other financing sources and a negative change in fund balance of $6,700. The Section 8 fund took in $313,000 in revenue, $308,000 expenses, and had a small change in fund balance of $4,500. American Rescue Fund.
So when you say small change,
Yes.
Is it a positive
It's a positive change.
or a negative change?
It's a positive change,
Okay.
4,493.
Okay, I'll let you. Well, which one is that now?
That's on page 25 for the Section 8 fund. The American Rescue Fund and the Capital Projects Fund, those are both cost reimbursement grants. So for those, revenues and expenses were pretty much equal, so they had no changes in fund balances for those. And that street fund had total revenues of $299,000, expenditures of $245,000, and transfers out of $160,000. So that was a negative $105,000 for the street fund. Next, I'll go over the utility fund, which can be found on page 27. For the water fund, had total current assets of $1.2 million. We had non-current assets of capital assets, net of depreciation of $1.8 million, and had total assets of almost $3 million. Your current liabilities was $1.8 million, and your long-term bonds was $4.4 million. So you had total liabilities of $6.1 million, and you had net position a negative of $3.2 million for the water fund. For the Magnolia Water Fund, we had total assets of $1.6 million, construction in progress of about $111,000, and current liabilities of $1.7 million. So that had a net position of 0. The sewer fund had total current assets of $536,000, non-current assets of $10.5 million, and then current liabilities of $203,000, and then long-term liabilities of $2.3 million. So it had a positive net position at the end of the year of $8.6 million. Of that, about $120,000 was unrestricted, and about $8.1 million was tied up in your capital assets. Next on page 28 is the income statement for the enterprise funds. The water fund took in revenues of $1.5 million, and operating expenses, including depreciation, of $2.4 million. So that was an operating loss of $868,000. Then you had non-operating revenues of about $12,000, which gave you a net loss for the year of $509,000 after transfers. The Magnolia Water took in $205,000, had expenses of $85,000, and had a net of $120,000, which was transferred. The sewer fund had took in revenues of $728,000, had operating expenses including depreciation of $1.2 million, and had now operating revenues expenses of $95,000. So it had a loss before transfers, a loss of $551,000 for the year. Next, I'll go over the budgetary comparison schedules, which can begin on page 61. Starting first with the general fund. The general fund had total budgeted revenues of $5.3 million. Had budgetary basis revenues, actual revenues of $5.6 million. So had a favorable variance for the revenue side of $302,000. On the expenditure side, we budgeted $3.5 million, and the actual was $3,766,000. So there was an unfavorable variance on the general fund of $309,000. Next is the Section 8 fund, which is on page 62. We had budgeted revenues of $333,000. Actual revenues was $371,000, so we had a favorable variance for the revenue side of $37,633. For the expenditures, budgeted was $275,000. The budgetary basis was $308,000, which was a negative variance of $33,000. And then the American Rescue Fund was on page 63, and for that one, the actual budgeted was $30,000, but the actual was $742,000, so that was a favorable variance. And then on the budgeted, it was $209,000 budgeted, but the actual was $742,000, so that was an unfavorable variance of $533,000. Next, I'll go over our reports related to internal control and compliance. Those begin on page 74. So the first report relates to governmental auditing standards. We're required under governmental auditing standards to obtain the understanding of those internal controls. And then we do certain testing of those controls and walk the result of those. And our report on that is in the last paragraph there. We say, given these limitations during our audit, we did not identify any deficiencies in internal control that we consider to be material weaknesses. However, material weaknesses may exist that have not been identified. And on page 75 is the compliance section of that report. And there we say, we basically test y'all's compliance with state laws and bond covenants. And there we say the results of our test disclose one instance of noncompliance or other matters that were required to be reported under government auditing standards, and is described as item 2025-001 in the company's schedule of findings and question calls. And we'll go over that finding directly. But first, we'll go over the uniform guidance report. Y'all had more than $750,000 federal awards this year, so y'all require a single audit. So we audited y'all's compliance with the grant requirements of that. And our report on that is on page 76. We say there, in our opinion, the city complied in all material respects with the types of compliance requirements referred to above that could have a direct or material effect on each of its major federal programs. So we gave a clean or unmodified opinion on those compliance with those requirements. Then the findings begin on page findings begin on page 82. And we had one finding which related to the budget law, Louisiana Local Government Budget Act. We noted that state law requires that budgets be adopted for the general fund and each special revenue fund. And that actual expenditures are exceeding budgeted revenues by 5% or more, that the city must amend its budget. And we noted that the city failed to amend its budget during the fiscal year. The effect of that was non-compliance with the Local Government Budget Act. And we recommend that the city advance its timeline for the preparation of budget proposals and amendments in order to allow for sufficient time for public inspection and improved timeliness. And management's response was that they will begin the budgeting process no later than 90 days prior to June 30th to ensure the municipality meets the required deadline. That concludes the audit. Next, I'll go over the statewide group on procedures, which Legislative Auditor has 14 different compliance and control areas that they have identified as best practices for governments. And they changed the practices on the process on that, where if you didn't have a finding in last year, you don't have to test it this year. So of those 14 areas, about half of those we didn't have to test this year because there were no findings in the previous year. So we'll go over those. They're in a separate letter. The first section is the board or finance committee. And we noted an exception on that related to the council review of budget to actual comparisons. The legislative auditor has set up a best practice for the general fund to review that on a monthly basis and note that in the minutes. Also review of the special revenue funds on a quarterly basis and the proprietary funds on a semi-annual basis. So the only exception we noted on that was that there was that we didn't see that review in those frequencies. We also perform procedures over y'all's bank reconciliations, and we observe that.
Excuse me, Mr. Murray. For, let's see, procedure number 3, because y'all go back and forth between A, B, C, and D. Now you're on 1, 2, and 3. So I try to keep up with it. I don't know why y'all change it like that.
Yeah, it's not us. Yeah.
See, procedure 3 says, for government entities, obtain the prior year audit report and observe the unassigned fund balance in the general fund. If the general fund had a negative unassigned fund balance in the prior year audit report, there should be some action taken. So it doesn't say anything about special revenue funds being in a negative.
It does not. It's mainly looking at the general fund. For the bank reconciliation procedures, we noted one exception related to that. We noted that each of the bank reconciliations tested did not have evidence of review of management or board member. The legislative auditor's best practice for that is that somebody that's in part of management or on the council should review those bank reconciliations on a monthly basis and sign.
What do you mean by bank reconciliations?
So this is taking like each one of your accounts and basically doing a reconciliation. We got to do a reconciliation of that each month.
Tell us. Let's say I never knew anything about finances.
Okay.
What do you mean by reconciliation?
Okay. So the money you have in the bank account, you have like basically there's outstanding items. So checks haven't cleared yet, deposits haven't cleared yet. And so what you have to do is you have to reconcile what's showing in the bank balance to what's on y'all's books. And that's something that y'all do each month. And so the legislative auditor's best practice is that basically that bank reconciliation should be reviewed and signed.
So that means someone up here should review it?
It should be a member of management or the city council.
Right. So it could be either or, right?
That's what it's.
And what has been happening is Cindy Thompson, who is our CPA, does our reconciliations for us. And then General signs off on those reconciliations, he initials off after he reviews. Now I did go back and look, and each month for each bank account, there's a reconciliation. So there's, I don't know, 10 accounts, however many there are. And I did see there were a couple of months where when I flipped through, I saw his initial, but then there was like one account that didn't have his initials. So that's what you're talking about.
Basically, that's it, yeah. And we basically they tell us, we select the month at random.
So you saying Cindy does do it?
Yes, Cindy reconciles everything. Not sure how they didn't get initialed off, but like, say I looked at December and I flipped through them. Let's say 7 of them had his initial, but there maybe was one or two that didn't. And so that's when they did their testing, that's what they saw, and that's why they have to report that.
I got you. But it says, bank reconciliation include evidence of a member of management / board member who does not handle cash, post ledgers, or issue checks have reviewed each bank reconciliation within 1 month of the date the reconciliation was prepared. So I mean, Juro handles, if I'm not mistaken, ledgers.
Yes, it would need to be somebody.
Somebody outside of him. And the best way to have that done, and I've been saying from day one, see, we're not doing things right. It says someone who does not handle the ledger. Gerald handles the ledger. So he can't sign off on the reconciliations. That's why I've been telling this council and you all for the longest. It should be someone from the board. We should be able to review everything that's coming out of here, but you all say you're not gonna do it. And this is a finding for the past 3 years, the same thing. The same findings since I've been on this council. It's been the same findings every year. We've not changed it. And you all have said so many words, I don't care what you indicate that a deficit or something we're not doing right. As an administration of the city, we said we're not changing. And that's sad. But when you got a council that allows it to happen, it's our fault. And we're responsible for all of it. Go ahead.
So then the next section relates to credit cards.
Go ahead, you can say what you.
Okay, back
No,
up.
ma'am.
I just want to, you said Cindy comes in and check it, the reconciliation. And then Gerald checks off, right? Cindy would be that person that's not
No.
doing our books?
No.
Am I correct? If Cindy is doing it, then Gerald can check off on it?
Yeah, so it really says that a member
Are
of.
we in compliance if that's the way it's
No.
going?
Yeah, it really should be like
Cindy is
a
not
mayor
part of our management.
or a member of management that's not involved.
It's not a part of our
You
management.
say the mayor?
Or a member of the council should sign off.
Okay.
Somebody who's not involved in the reconciliation or the check writing process.
In other
Okay, so
words,
Cindy would be the person that's not involved in check writing.
no.
I think probably it would be good to have somebody else sign on.
So I think what you're saying is Gerald should not be doing that. It should be the mayor or a member of the council.
I think that's what it should be. Or if you had a member of management that was not writing checks, that person.
What I would think, since the council is the fiduciary body for the city, I think the council should be seeing that kind of information. That's what I've been saying for the longest. But you all said y'all not gonna do that. So if someone from the council, and preferably those that are on the budget committee, we should be seeing that information at all times. But we never do. And those are consistent findings year in and year out. And it's gonna continue until you all change how you operate. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And we are insane.
Okay, so I think we have the selection of the budget committee on the agenda this tonight.
Let's
And I think
stay
that-
on top, we're still on
Oh, hang on just a second. Just answering what you're saying, okay? Maybe that's something that you guys could consider when we're talking about the budget committee tonight. Okay, go ahead, sir.
Okay, so for the credit cards section, we performed those tests, and we did note one exception. One of the 5 credit cards tested, there was a late fee. And we also knew that there was one of those 5 credit cards that did not have evidence of approval in writing by somebody other than the authorized card holder. And finally, we noted that there was one itemized receipt that was not provided for the credit card charge tested. So that was basically of all the credit cards, those were the exceptions we noted.
You said one unauthorized person on the credit card?
Yeah, it was one credit card charge that did not have an itemized receipt.
And so that everybody knows, the credit cards that we have, Vanessa had one, the police chief had one, we have a Home Depot card, a Sam's card, and the fuel card. Those are the 5 that we have.
And the best practice on that is basically that, somebody reviews those each month to make sure all the itemized charges are there. We performed testing of y'all's employee and travel expense related, and we noted no exceptions related to that. We tested y'all's payroll and personnel procedures, and we noted no exception related to that. And that concludes the statewide vertical procedure.
No, you didn't talk about collections. You still go to collections part.
Oh yeah, hold on, let me go back there. Okay, I did miss the collection. So for the collections, we basically did our testing of that, and the only thing we noted that y'all do have a physical collections log, but we were not able to trace certain items where we had a deposit that were on the deposit slip to the log. So on that, just need to make sure that the log is complete and has everything on it. But we observed no exceptions in the performance, no other exceptions.
Okay. We will now go to the council for any questions. Councilman Scott, you have any questions? Ms. Houston? Ms. Harris? Okay. Councilman Wells?
I'm gonna be brief. There's a lot in this audit that, everyone knows I believe in honesty, and I said earlier when it first came on, I said the reason why they couldn't do the audit on our water funds because Magnolia didn't turn on the information that they needed to perform an adequate audit. You said that was not true.
No, I did not say that. I agree with you 100%. What I said was that when that didn't happen, I reached out to the governor's office to let them know, and I also reached out to the legislative auditor. They didn't give the information, or I wouldn't have had anything to reach out to those two stakeholders about.
That was later on, but at first you said that wasn't true.
No, I never said that.
It's okay, we don't argue about that part.
We're not gonna argue,
now,
because I didn't say it.
It's okay, good deal. But when we begin to look at it, and I don't understand how the council does not have any questions for finances. When I look at page 10, on the manager's disclosure and analysis, it said we had a remaining balance of $847,000. It's unrestricted and may be used to meet the city's ongoing obligations to its citizens and creditors. How are we going to use that money, $847,000? Have we developed a plan for that?
Well, that's a pretty substantial little amount of money.
That's a nice lot of money.
You know, I don't see that it's not enough.
So at the end of the fiscal year, we had $847,000 that was unrestricted, means it can be spent on whatever we want to utilize it on, right? It goes to general fund, if I'm not mistaken.
What page did you say, Mr. Bell?
We have budgets and all.
What page did you say?
Page number 10.
Page number 10. Okay, well, can you first, Mr. Murray, what can you describe what the net position is?
Okay, so net position is basically the equity. And so as I mentioned, there were two different views of the financial statements. So one is like the fund basis, which is kind of what we went over. The other is the government-wide financial statements, which these include all your fixed assets. They're all full accrual. It also includes your debt and long-term liabilities. So that unrestricted is basically, that's showing what was unrestricted of that equity. So if you take your assets, you minus your liabilities, and basically you had at the end of 25, you had 10.7 million in that net position. Of that, about 8.5 million was pretty much capital assets. So I mean, that's all pretty much money that's tied up in your capital assets. And then you have restricted for your bond debt service of 1.3 million. And that 847 is kind of the remainder of the unrestricted.
Is that cash or assets and?
So this is basically, this is like your equity. So this is your assets minus your liability. So not necessarily cash.
Exactly.
Okay, that's not what I was getting to. I said we decide on how we're going to utilize it for the betterment of the city to meet its obligations out of sales cash. But now it's amazing how nobody has questions. But when I ask a question, you try to come back behind my question. Now, that's crazy. But nobody got a question on their own.
No, what I wanted to make sure was that individuals didn't think that was cash.
No,
So I thought
I never
I
said it
would
was
ask
cash.
for the definition for the net
So
position.
that is the.
No, the point I'm making is that you ask each council member, did they have questions?
I did.
Nobody asked a question but her.
Well, no, what I'm saying, but you asked me.
I asked you what page.
Right.
I wanna follow you.
Okay, I guess, but you said something as well. Now, also I want to clear up on the audit of this. Because I remember I mentioned earlier that we've had 2 fiscal administrators on the city. And it was stated that we've only had one. And according to the audit, you said during the current fiscal year, the city paid $200,000 to Bonton for the city's portion of the water fund's fiscal administrator, which means it wasn't just receivership / fiscal administrator. And so then also we're under fiscal administrator now with Magnolia. And then when it came up about the emergency sub-fund, they said put another fiscal administrator in place. I said, I mean, tell me we have 3 fiscal administrators in a year?
So Bonton was a receiver, not a fiscal administrator. Magnolia has not been annotated or represented as a fiscal administrator That word has not, those two words have not been used with either of those entities.
Maybe I'm reading wrong. On page 12? At page 12, it says, during the current fiscal year, the city paid $200,000 to Bonton Associates for the city's portion of the water fund's fiscal administrative fees.
And so, Mr. Murray, did you list that wrong? Because we are not under a fiscal administrator. Bonton was a receiver.
Yeah, so I think pretty much on that is basically showing that as far as the administration of the water.
It's not a fiscal administrator. When this council voted, you all voted on a receivership.
If you look at the state law definition of a fiscal administrator, that is something where basically the court appoints a fiscal administrator, and so I think it's a receivership rather than a fiscal administrator.
It's the same. It's the same. You gotta change this list.
Yeah, so, and dealing with that, because we're currently in meetings about it now, they have given a distinction between the two, receivership and fiscal administrator. See where I think there's some similarities, but, it should be written in there, it should state receivership. Purposes of that, and that can be misleading, glad that you brought that out, but, what's going on now with the current administration, that will be listed in fiscal administration after the board approves everything.
That brings up another thing. Who's paying Magnolia now?
Magnolia's not contracted with the city to pay them, so that's with the state.
So, according to this, the contract ended in February 2026. So, are the citizens still obligated to pay their monies to Magnolia or not? Because if we're not under contract, that means the citizens shouldn't be paying their monies to Magnolia.
We were never under contract with them.
No.
Okay, so, but we're, like you said, let's stay on task.
I am. We're dealing with the water with Magnolia. Talking with Magnolia, with the fiscal administrator deal, or with Bonton receivership. It says in the thing, it says from February 2025 to February 2026. So who do the citizens pay their money to?
So actually, what we were dealing with was the distinction between the fiscal administrator and the receivership verbiage in the audit. We're not talking about Magnolia, where water bills are being paid, or anything like that.
So
that's
now,
not what we were doing.
Right, so now I'm going to my question when it comes to the water funds, because Magnolia didn't provide us with the water funds to be audited. So my question now, according to the audit, who are the citizens supposed to pay their money to now, since the contract is no longer in place?
Okay, about the contract.
In relation to the contract, we're still in conversation with Mr. Clayton Revere. So the contract did expire on the day, you are correct. What we're doing now is trying to get the contract reinstated, well, after board approval, if there's approval. This time being for fiscal administration. Honestly speaking, I'm not really comfortable with where we are at this point with fiscal administration, neither is the mayor. And acting for the best, for the betterment of Tallulah, we just don't want to sign anything and agree to anything. So what we've done now is we're still in meetings with the government, because what we said was we're not going to, what he said is we're not going to agree to get into this CA agreement or do this contract until they give us this in writing, which states specifically what the fiscal administration will do, how it would run, what happens if this, what happens if that. That way the council will have full understanding of how it's going to run before you have the opportunity to vote. So in terms of your question of what happens now, what we have been told by Mr. Clayton is that they're not leaving Tallulah hung out to dry, per se, but what they will do is, in a sense, make it retroactive if the council agrees to move forward to take care of that. So, in a sense, there's not a specific answer. To be honest with you, this is a very interesting and unique circumstance. The government has not, in the state of Louisiana, has not had to deal with this. So we're all learning, just being truthful. We're all learning and trying to figure it out. They do not have a per se answer as to you do this in this situation. So how fiscal administration has been running has been in other situations. A lot of times with accounting and things of that nature. It has not been with the water system. So everyone is still learning and trying to get the right answer. So what we said was, and I said today in my email,
the mayor agreed. I just want to hold on until they give me specific, show me, I see what the statute says, but I want it to be specific and tailored as to Tallulah in the water system, in the water sector, as to how it is to run before we enter into this contract and bind Tallulah to that.
So the contract, I think that, we're discussing is actually the contract between Magnolia and the state, which did expire on February 17th. My understanding is that they are working the extension, both sides, both parties are looking into whatever. They are going to extend it, it will be retroactive. I don't believe it has happened yet, but they are working on that.
Okay.
So right now, everybody would still be paying their water bill to Magnolia.
See, I believe in being upfront. If there's no active contract, there's nothing that obligates the citizens to pay their money to Magnolia. There's nothing. And I understand what y'all saying about retroactive, but as of right now, the citizens are not obligated to pay money to Magnolia. Because right now, the water company is supposed to be turned back over to the citizens of the city of Tallulah. And they cannot tie the city of Tallulah into a contract. This is another topic, we'll go back to where saying that in order for you to get money, you have to go up on the fiscal administrators. They can't do that. Fiscal administration can't do that. Cannot. Because if it's going to be government money, taxpayers' money, you can't put that stipulation onto a grant. The only thing you can tell us is how that money has to be spent. You can't tell us who can manage the money that's coming in the grant form. You can't do that. And they know that. So what has to happen, we got to take a stand. Because the contract is up with Magnolia that we're supposed to pay as far as the state with Magnolia. We were never under contract with them from what you all are saying. So I mean, we no longer have an obligation to pay anything to Magnolia as of February 17, 2026. No obligation. Because we all know legally, if there's no contract, there's no connection for business. But that's my frame of thought. But now, let me get to the agreed upon procedures in regards to this. Everything that you've pointed out, I made a point of going to my physical therapy session, rehab. When we gave our, I don't know, man, do you want to discuss your corrective actions that you want to talk about?
No, we'll talk about that afterwards.
Every corrective action that's listed here is the same one we did for 23, 24, and now 25. The only thing we did was change the verbiage, as you say, on the corrective action plans. Mm-hmm. Nothing has changed. The collection law is still an issue. And when you can look at the responses, stop putting them off. I want to make sure I don't be saying anything wrong. When it says like the board finance committee meetings in 23, 24, and 25, while performed, we noted that procedure B, that the budget to actual report is submitted to the council for reporting, but the minutes do not reference review of the monthly budget to actual comparison. It's 23, 24, and 25. Same thing happening now. So our response to that is that we're going to make sure that the council reviews these things on a regular basis, monthly, and is documented in the minutes. Same verbiage, written the same way, we're just changing words. You say, in response to the board section, the city council will begin noting the review of the budget to actual comparison. The city council meets on a monthly basis. Bank reconciliations. It is 25. Ensure bank reconciliations are reviewed by management and properly initiated to show said review. In response to the bank reconciliation procedures, management will institute a process to review and sign off on bank reconciliations. So, Mr. Carter, that's why I keep bringing it up, Mr. Carter. Collection procedures. Corrective action. There's a collection log here. The corrective action going forward will be to ensure that the collection log is properly documented to ensure that the deposit can be traced back to the collection log. That's 25, 23, and 24. In response to the results of the collection procedure, management will amend its policies and procedures and will begin preparing a collection log on a daily basis. Still not happening. Still not happening. We just put stuff down and said we did it. Credit cards and debit cards. You left some out too, we'll go to it in a minute. Credit cards and debit cards. Corrective action. All credit card statement receipts etc. will be reviewed prior to payment by the mayor, who is not an authorized cardholder. We still won't send them out to council. All receipts shall be documented to show business public purposes. Additionally, any user who does not retain receipts shall receive written disciplinary action, and such action will be placed in their employee file with regards to late fees. The deputy clerk will strive to ensure payments are made to avoid late fees. That's it right here. In response to the results of credit card procedures, management will ensure that support is maintained and business purposes are documented on all future credit card charges. Management will also ensure that future credit card statements are paid timely in order to avoid finance charges. Management will institute a review process for credit card statements. So we're continuing to say the same thing year after year, and it's continuing to be the same file. So now, when are we going to ever take serious action as a council? That's why I keep saying the same thing, because it still happens.
So why was that statement made to you?
I'm saying, because you always say I'm saying the same thing. So what I'm saying is this: until we change how we do business and we put some teeth in the game, nothing's gonna change. And the same person wrote the 23 and 24, Rule 25. And you didn't mention about we got people buying gas on the city fuel cards and there's no receipts.
Yeah, so that we did note that as well.
Yes. So that means we have some major issues internally. That's why I disagree when you say there's no lack of internal control. And I understand there's connections that you all have. If I got a gas purchase being made on a city fuel card, there's no receipts being turned in, that's a major issue. And it's been 3 consecutive years, if someone is using a credit card, there's no receipt to show whether it's business purposes, that's a major internal issue.
So we evaluate everything as far as the audit, as far as
Understand?
respective to our materiality. So it would, and we'll respond, for the grid procedures, we would basically report what we find, and then we kind of evaluate that to see whether it is material weakness or significant business.
So why you never look at the credit cards in the audit and talk about those few purchases that's made without receipts? And why does it never mention in the audit? It's always in the agreed upon procedures.
Yeah, because I mean, if it was something where we had like basically we had all the credit cards and no receipts, that would probably be something that would raise us to the audit. But for the agreed upon procedures, it was just the one out of the things that we tested.
So how do you determine what you look at as far as agreed upon procedures compared to what you audit in the financial audit?
So agreed upon procedures, the legislative auditor tells me which procedures to do, and I'll just respond back to I do the testing and respond back to the procedures. For the audit, I'm giving an opinion on the financial statements, whether they're materially misstated or not.
Right, so you don't really take look at it to see if there's a misstatement or not.
So all of our audit testing is based on, we do our testing to see whether we can, to give an opinion on financial statements if they're in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles.
In other words, you don't look to see if anything's wrong.
Well, we do lots of testing. So I mean, we test y'all's expenditures, we test y'all's payroll. I mean, yeah, we test basically we perform an audit. So.
I'm gonna handle the other stuff differently. I just wanna make sure that I wanna put on record that there's credit card being used without documented business purposes. There's also fuel being purchased on a city fuel card with no receipts. Those are serious issues. Because we don't know who's getting the gas, what vehicles they're putting them in, or anything of that sort. That's a major internal issue. Even if you don't want to say it is what it is. But I know how to deal with that part there. I'll deal with the audit.
Okay, so just to give a little bit of information on the corrective actions, I became appointed as mayor in July of 2025. Councilman Wells told you about the corrective actions for 3 years prior. I did write the corrective actions, but I wasn't the boss, so I couldn't tell anybody to do anything.
Can I say something, please?
Yeah.
Okay, I disagree with you.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you what. You said say something, so
Hold on just one second.
Take the floor back now?
Hold on just one second,
All right.
okay? All right? At the end of the day, I can't tell another fellow employee to do anything when I was the administrative assistant, though I did put the corrective actions together, okay? Now that I'm mayor, for this point in time, I can tell the employees what to do, and they have been told that. And you're right. There's absolutely no reason for the same infraction to continue to happen. But at the end of the day, I can't make anybody do anything as that employee. Now, in this seat, now I can. So the other thing is, the gas that the police department uses, they actually do have a report with everyone that's on there. And if I understand correctly, they had the receipts as well. They just didn't have the receipts
I never said who it came from.
they were in a box, and they told you if y'all wanted to go through them, you could, but there was a report with all of the information with each
I've
fuel.
never seen
So
anything.
the best practice, basically, if you'll have like a fuel operator where it basically gives all the information, you know, a dollar per reading, gallons, then that is sufficient for the procedure. So I would really have to go back and look at particularly one.
What I want everybody to take away from that is nobody's just going out buying gas just willy-nilly, okay? Buster doesn't, Chief doesn't run his department like that.
Documented well. Experts is documented well.
So I just wanted everybody to have the correct information on those two items. Yes, sir.
Okay, I never once said who was doing it. The audit never said who was getting gas. It just stated that there was gas being purchased without receipts. I never said who. The audit never said who.
Well, there's only one department that has a credit card and a fuel card.
I have no idea, according to the audit, who purchased the fuel.
Okay, well, now everybody knows.
I just said that the audit indicated there was fuel being purchased without receipts. That's all I said.
And I addressed it.
And that's all I do. I also said there's credit cards that's being used without business purposes. And it's been an ongoing thing. But now, that's basically you said you can't tell anybody to do anything. And I differ on that. And I'm going to show you one example. I remember when I talked to the council about taking action on something, you were sitting back there. You stood up and said, council, I want you to, when it was Mayor Fennison, you said, I want you all to really think about what Councilman Wells is saying to get you all to do. And if I were you all, I don't think that's the way for us to go as a city.
That's not telling them what to do, that's telling them, hold on, because I specified employees. No, because you're not gonna twist this into something that I said employees. You're talking about the council, so let's make sure we stay where we're going. I said I couldn't tell another employee what to do, that's specifically what I said. I can't tell the council what to do, you guys are elected officials, but I can give my opinion.
Now, again, you're always interrupting people, but you don't like to be interrupted. I asked you, can I speak? You said yes.
You can speak.
Now, if you have a rebuttal,
You can speak.
Speak after you do your rebuttal after I finish my statement. Because if I interrupt you, you're going to end the meeting. That's why I'm trying to make sure I stay calm. Because there's stuff I want to get to, I want you to end the meeting like that. So I'm trying to say too much. So I know y'all ready to do it. But you have directed. We received stuff from employees about the direction that was given to them while you were the mayor's assistant. Because Mayor Fennison would not make any decision without you telling him which way to go. He would say, Your Honor, can you tell this? So you made a lot of decisions. So, I'm glad you owned up to the fact that you wrote the brief on procedures. And you've been doing it for a long time. And as the mayor's assistant, you can direct employees to make sure something happens. Because the mayor's assistant assists who? The mayor. So if there's something that needs to be done as an assistant, it's okay, well, these are things that need to be in place. You directed employees before as an assistant, so why don't you have it? You have. And I'm not going to ask employees to tell it, because I don't want to get in no trouble. But I'm going to deal with this stuff with the agreed upon procedure report a little differently. And with the collections law, we always say there's a law that's being kept after the audit. So it's a law being kept, but he said he can't trace the collections back to the deposits. So that means that, yeah, you're keeping the law, but I can't figure out where the money's going. That's what it's saying.
So we basically see money that's collected and deposited that we're not seeing on the law. So,
Right. Which means I only see what's being deposited. So everything, because at one time we was having receipts that was not sequential. In a sequential manner. We've had then they 77, 77, 87, 79, they jumped to 784. So I'm like, where's the missing checks? Well, we had to void 5 checks. We left the checks in the printer. And some of us on top of them. You never know.
Can we produce the checks?
That's not always the only reason that there's money.
I'm not saying it's the only, I'm saying that's one of the reasons. So, but, we'll deal with that in another way. I'm through with that. I'm through with it. I'm done.
Okay. Any other questions regarding the audit? All right.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
What was my name?
Well, I'm gonna address that. Because a lot of times when you say, Mr. Wells, it's always bringing up old stuff. When are we gonna move forward? You know, you can put my name in your Facebook post. So I'm saying the reason why I bring it up.
Go and make sure I got it.
Okay, wait, hold on.
Okay, I'm finished responding to what you said, Ms. Carter. So the reason why I said that is so you'll know the reason why I keep bringing it up is it keeps happening. See, like 2023, the same thing happened back then as happened in 2025. There's no changes. So even though it's old, it's a repetitive thing, it's a reoccurring thing that has not changed. So it's not an old thing, it's still new.
Okay,
I told you,
that's a
I said,
conversation.
because you mentioned my name about me not bringing up old
Okay.
stuff.
All right, next item on the agenda is the appointment of the Mayor's Court Magistrate. Councilman Wells asked for the ordinance regarding the appointment of the city magistrate, the Mayor's Court Magistrate, and the salary. There is no ordinance for that. When that person is appointed, the salary is supposed to be discussed at that time and supposed to be along with the appointment. So when we look back, he asked for some additional information, and when we look back, the first meeting of the term of 2022, the court magistrate was not appointed at that time. And so as we've gone on now 3 years or whatever, and Councilman Wells asked the question. So I reached out to Karen White, who was formerly of LMA, an attorney, and she said that if the reappointment didn't happen, that person continues in that position. I relayed that information back to the council, answering Councilman Wells's email, and he questioned, what Ms. White had said. So I then turned and I reached out to LMA Executive Counsel Hannah Geddes, and I also reached out to our attorney as well. Ms. Geddes did write back that there is a de facto officer doctrine, and I'll let the attorney speak to that.
Hold on. It's called a holdover. The de facto, it's called a holdover.
Attorney?
Yes, that is a reference to it. So in looking at that, there's also an additional statute that I did find for the council's reference as well with the de facto. Basically because in Louisiana Revised Statute 33-386, okay, yes, it does pinpoint the appointments of magistrates as well as any other appointed administration there and how long the term is to serve. Being that the city magistrate was not appointed in 2022, what de facto's pretty much saying is that it does not invalidate any of the powers that was already done during that time. It is not. There is some case law that has been presented because in the case of, there it is, State v. Johnson, citation number is 343, Southern 2nd 705 as of 1976, in which the Supreme Court has followed. And in that particular case, they were speaking to a police officer. So when they're talking about that, we don't have anything there on that says city magistrate. So I'm going to tell you now. So when that happens in the legal world, you have to relate that to another municipal officer. So in that case, with the officer, the court did find that they would refer to the de facto statute that says that, hey, everything that was done at that time is not invalidated and it still holds at the time, even though that officer was not appointed at that time. So we relate that here to the city magistrate because the city magistrate is also considered a municipal officer of the court. So we go to that case law there from the Supreme Court. Then we move to, I found an additional statute. This speaks to this Louisiana Revised Statute 42-2. What that says is every public officer in this state, except in case of impeachment or suspension shall continue to discharge the duties of the office until his successor is inducted into office. So what they're saying is the current magistrate is to continue business until there's been a successor made. So then I went further to look into, okay, let's find out exactly what's considered a public office. Under Louisiana Revised Statute 42:1, it says that as using this title, the term public office means any state, district, parish, or municipal office, elective or appointive, or any position as member on a board or commission, when the office or position is established by the constitutional laws of the state. Public officer is any person holding a public office in this state. So I'm doing that to break down what the city magistrate does, what the powers of, and relating that into what the Supreme Court said in 1976. Therefore, we fall under the de facto law, which says, as you were saying, holdover law, that the city magistrates, none of their laws, anything that's been done, conducted thus far, is to be invalidated. They continue to hold their position until one is appointed, in this case, or someone else is permitted to be subject to in the interim.
And so now that it's been brought to our attention, we have to make sure that we, just 1 second. Now that it's been brought to our attention, we were also told that being Hannah Geddes from LMA, recommended that we reappoint the city magistrate. So that's why this particular issue is on the agenda tonight. And before we go further, I'll let Councilman Wells go ahead.
Thank you, Attorney Miley, for what you stated. I read all those statutes as well. But it says that there has been a contesting of the city magistrate's position because they wasn't reappointed. It can open the city up to some legal issues because this law states that the term ends when a new council or governing board has been seated. And it says the de facto law is really a temporary fix. It's not a fix where you can go 3 years and not name someone. And what we have a problem, what we tend to do with this with the city of Tallulah, we will not bring names up when we want to keep people in positions. We know if we don't bring them up, they get to stay there. But the de facto is a temporary appointment. It doesn't give you a 3-way window where you can just not be recommended or reappointed and assume that position. Yes, the magistrate, whatever decision she rendered, are valid. She also has judicial immunity, but because she has not been reappointed, it can't stay as a de facto for 3 years. That's a long time. And I had the opportunity of sitting in on city court, mayor's court, magistrate court. And by law, you don't have to have a magistrate. The mayor can serve on the court, or you can recommend, you can appoint an attorney the board has to approve, or the mayor pro tem can serve in that capacity. And there's a lot that I think the council should visit, because I do my research, and the chief said that the council has no authority over the mayor's court. And he was totally wrong.
It doesn't.
He's totally wrong. Because the council has a lot of authority over what happens. And it says that by law, I wish I forgot my law in that book, it says the magistrate's salary has to be set by ordinance. It has to be set by ordinance. It says it must be set by ordinance by the board. So it's not just I wish I had a large snake, but my binder left it. But it says that it has to be done by ordinance, all municipal officers. And what's supposed to happen is that every time there's a new council, a new board that's seated, every department head is supposed to be brought back before the council to be reappointed, or someone else is new. But what we tend to do is we want to keep people at places so we never bring their names back up. That's not good business. So what I want us to understand is that there may be a conflict with the way this court is being ran. So I'm gonna contact the judiciary in regards to how it functions. Because when you look at it, does the city has reappointed? Who is the prosecutor for the city court?
The police chief acts as the prosecutor.
In order for him to act as the prosecutor, he has to be appointed by the board.
Show me that in writing.
Okay, hold on just a second, So, I think Councilman Wells has made all of his, concerns.
No, I'm not through.
I think hold on, and whatever else you have, the attorney is looking into everything, if I am correct, right? To make sure that all of the rules and regulations, or whatever the case may be for mayor's court, is being done, correctly. Just wanna say one thing about the department heads,
Why I can't ever finish saying what I'm saying without getting interrupted?
correct, because you stopped and I started.
Because also, you
So now you're interrupting me.
Again, you, whatever happened. So, there's a thing called the mayor's court handbook. And I'm surprised we don't have that on file here in the office. Because I just put it off online. It's called the mayor's court handbook. All right? It says, appointing a municipal prosecutor. For those who wish to provide additional clarity in the respective roles of the court, I'm going to go right here. It says the prosecutor. Governing body selects a qualified attorney to act in that capacity when asked to do so by the mayor. Like the appointed magistrate, an appointed prosecutor's salary shall be fixed and paid by the board council. And there may be more than one such prosecutor appointed using this process. The chief cannot serve as a prosecutor without being appointed by the council. That's the law. So now, when you say this stuff can be challenged, the chief is not a prosecutor. Actually, the chief is wrote. So there's a difference in how this thing's supposed to run. That's why I came and looked at it. Now, the only way the chief can be appointed as a prosecutor is that it has to be approved by the board. It has to be approved by us. That's what it says. And until he's appointed, the only thing the chief can comment on in magistrate court is traffic violations. Because the chief duties in the mayor's court said these duties for the chief of police and provision within the Larson Act that mandate the chief has the general responsibility for law enforcement municipalities. What we go to right here. It says the chief is required to attend each session of mayor's court. If he don't attend, he can be charged with contempt by the presiding officer. And it says, where's that? The chief must also, I'm trying to find what it says he's supposed to do. Where's that? Okay, here you go. Because the chief of police is the executive officer of the court, the presiding officer may delegate certain duties to them, including preparation of the court docket, management of record retention, and the collection of citation payments to turn over to the clerk. So he cannot be sitting there saying, well, I want them to get 6 months. Probation. So there's an issue that we have with the way we're running this court.
Okay.
And I'm going to lie, because there's a judicial canon that each judge is supposed to abide by. And that is not being followed under the mayor's court statutes. See, I don't just sit here. When he said we have no control, I said, okay, I'm going to find this out. Because there's nothing take place in the city that we can't do. So he has to be appointed. Prosecutor has to be appointed. The mayor has to rescind her duties for the chief to serve as prosecutor. Or if the only way the chief is served is the judge is serving as the judge and the prosecutor. That's the only way. That's in this law for the mayor's court. So what I would suggest is that there needs to be a separation in how this thing is being conducted. Because we may be opening ourselves up to some serious consequences because of connections and cases that are being heard by the magistrate on behalf of the chief of police.
Okay, so when Councilman Wells brought the subject up, okay, we did have a back and forth over the email, and then I said, listen, this is an opportunity for all of us to work together. Let's let the attorney look into it. So if there's anything that needs to be added, taken away, whatever the case may be, we can make sure that we're doing it correctly. Is that correct? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to allow the attorney to make sure that if we need to do something, or if we don't need to do anything, that she has an opportunity to do that. As it relates to department heads, the Larson Act is very clear. It says the mayor can be required to appoint department heads by ordinance. We do not have an ordinance that says we have to appoint department heads. We brought that up before. So what we're going to do, Councilman Wells obviously has some very major concerns. Attorney, I'm sure we can all work together to answer his questions. We can get whatever we need to get it done. Tonight, we are talking about the appointment of the mayor's court magistrate.
Mayor, I'm sorry, go ahead.
As it relates to the agenda, okay, as the attorney from LMA said, she spoke with Attorney Miley. They recommended that we do either appoint the court magistrate tonight, or you guys do not appoint the magistrate tonight, okay? As the councilman said, the mayor can be the magistrate. I don't have that legal background, okay? And so I don't feel like putting myself in a position to do anything with anybody's life, okay? So what we can do right now is either reappoint Ms. Jackson, or if you guys don't want to, then we're going to have to find someone else. We have looked into it. If you guys decide not to, we'll have to probably postpone the next court date, since we won't have anybody in place unless we do have, someone in place. So the decision is up to the council. Yes, sir.
Okay, this is my concern, Mayor, because we only have a couple of months before you're gonna have a new council.
Right.
So my suggestion, it is only a suggestion, because if you were to assume, you or either Ms. Day can assume that role, and they have a training that you can go online within the first 30 days of you being setting up as the magistrate, that you can do online for 30 days, that will give you the ins and outs of how the mayor's court is supposed to run. And so I think because of the nature of what's happening and what has transpired up until this point, it needs to be a new direction until a new council is seated. Because there are some serious issues that are transpiring in this magistrate court. I came in this morning and looked at it. I took notes. There's things that's happening in, I think they've been probation court, if I'm not mistaken. I think they call it probation court this morning. So we have a probation court, then we have the magistrate's court. I've asked for a copy of the policies and procedures on how all this stuff happened, and I haven't got it yet. And I don't have to go to an individual's office. I said, well, just provide me a copy of it by email. I have to work as well. But I took off today because of the amount of complaints I received in regards to how this court is taking place. I said, well, let me go and see what's going on. And so there's actions that are happening in the magistrate or probation court that should not be happening. And that's why before we have something, we need to look at it and see what it entails. Because I didn't know what it was when we said that we have no authority over it, or can't change it. That's what, let me look into that. Because there's nothing that takes place in the city that the council does not have authority over. And when I got to look, I said, wait a minute. They don't know what they're talking about. We have a lot of say on how this thing goes. Because any policy that's being run in the magistrate's court, it has to be approved by the council. And so when y'all adopted that section 14 code of the criminal statute of state laws, so you all gotta be careful when y'all do stuff like that. Big violations. But we allowed the chief to come with those statutes, with their ordinances, and we allow criminal statutes to be brought into magistrate court, which opened up a can of worms that you all didn't really know what was going on. I'm assuming that you all didn't know what's happening. So the chief cannot act as a prosecutor in the mayor's court without being appointed.
Okay.
So what I would say, Mayor, I would really think we table all of this until you, this is my suggestion, until you look at what all the mayor court entails. Because we're going to have about 3 or 4 months before you have a new council, or possibly a new mayor. And to keep things from spilling over, we need to change direction for a couple months. Because there's some issues that I saw that I'm going to raise. With, it tells you in here if you have a complaint with how things are going, who to voice your concern, your complaint to, and I'm going to do it. So I think that to save the city a little trouble, we may need to do something different for the next 7 months. But I got to raise these issues when people are being affected financially the way that they are, and it's being ran not the incorrect way, to what I'm understanding. So I'm going to seek an opinion on how this thing is going.
Okay, so again, tonight we are looking at the appointment of the court magistrate, okay? You guys have a couple different options. You can either reappoint Ms. Jackson, it continues on while the attorney is looking into everything, or you guys could choose to not, which is going to stop court, stop revenue coming in, whatever the case may be. So,
Oh my God.
Say she was finished with her research.
no, she probably hasn't, is just started,
Can we
correct?
just table this to the next meeting till she finish her research?
Okay. So, is there a motion to that?
I make a motion to
Yeah, I
table
think we
it.
should table it.
I make a motion that we table this entire process. And so that has to suspend what happened with court. We may need to do that.
Wait, hold on. Okay, the agenda item is the appointment of the mayor's court magistrate. So, Ms. Houston, if I'm understanding, you have a motion to table this?
Motion to table this.
Okay. Is there a second?
Until a later date, or table it to when?
I thought you said till the next meeting?
We're gonna table it until the attorney gets some research and hopefully that'll be by the next meeting.
So what we'll do, okay, so we have a motion, is there a second? Okay, so we have a proper motion and a proper second to table this item. Do we wanna say, are you saying until the next meeting?
We will table this until we get further information from the attorney in which direction we need to take.
Okay, everybody okay with that motion? All right, so we have a proper motion and second. Gerald, let's have a roll call vote, please.
Wells,
Yes.
Day,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, next item is selection of the 26-27 Budget Committee. We typically get 2 members of the council to be on the Budget Committee, so y'all have that.
Can I interject?
Absolutely.
Well, I'm sorry. I just want to, I've been talking all night, so I'll let you go.
Oh.
I'm
Thank
trying
you.
to do better.
Selecting a budget committee, isn't that kind of fair?
So what we don't want to do is run into the situation that we ran into
Yeah,
last
but-
time. No, so here's why, okay? We need to go ahead and get that committee in place so that we have enough time for them to come in, meet, not run into the same things that they ran into last year. Both Councilman Wells and Ms. Harris felt like they didn't get the information that they had asked for, which is why I want to start this earlier this year, so that they can get their information, we can get it in the paper, and we don't have to run into what we ran into last year.
Well, surely.
It's already April.
Well, surely came in this day, Ms. Houston or Mrs. Scott.
Okay?
So it's not, it was pretty early.
We wouldn't be able, the next council won't come in until July, so it'll be after the fact after that.
Okay. Well, like I said, you're less 3.
Okay. So, what, somebody make a motion?
I make a
for
motion
Councilman
that myself, Councilman Wells, and Ms. Harris stays on the budget committee.
Wells? Okay, I have a proper motion, is there a second? Okay, so we have a proper motion by Councilman Wells, second by Ms. Harris, to allow those 2 to stay on the budget committee. Gerald, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Wells,
Yes.
Day,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
and Scott.
Scott?
Abstain.
Abstain?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, and may I ask, Councilman Wells and Ms. Harris, I think something that you guys wanted to do, like, well, maybe I shouldn't say that, something I'm taking up. Can we make those public meetings, post, let them know when they're gonna be held, so that people wanna come in, is that okay with you?
Well, that was gonna be my suggestion.
Okay.
I said that last year.
Right there. Okay. All right. Okay, next item on the agenda. Introduction of an ordinance authorizing the mayor to seek a buyer and to sell the movable property known as the Coca-Cola Building and all improvements thereon to promote economic development and cultural history, located at 701 East Green Street, Tallulah, Louisiana, described as Lot 71 of the subdivision Original Town of Tallulah, Louisiana, situated in Madison Parish, Louisiana, together with all rights, improvements, occurrences thereto belonging to or appertaining. So what this is, folks, is I think we've been talking about this for several months. We declared the Coca-Cola Building surplus in order to put us in a position to sell that property. The ordinance is just being introduced tonight. It'll have to run paper, then there will be hearing, so that the public can give their input. What we're trying to do is sell that property to someone so that it can be renovated and brought back into commerce. So tonight, all we're doing is introducing the ordinance. There's no discussion on it. And at the public hearing, which will likely be in 2 weeks after it runs in the paper, then everyone will have an opportunity to speak on that particular subject.
Motion to introduce
Wait,
the
hold on,
ordinance.
I think we're excited.
This is my concern. You said a buyer shall produce verification of a line of credit from a recognized financial institution in an amount of not less than $250,000. That means they have to establish credit, right?
No, that means that they have to show a line of credit, that they have the means to renovate that building.
Okay, so what if an individual gets a letter from their financial institution stating that they have $250,000 in the bank with cash? Would that be sufficient?
I think that's a different thing, but I'm gonna go to my banker here. Line of credit and showing that they have $250,
Two different
$250,000,
things.
two different things.
Right, that's what I was saying. See, when you said, what is the line of credit then? What is that?
A line of credit means a line of credit that you have. I mean, it's showing that if you have a shortfall in your business, you can always go over here and just pull the money that you already have, not just pulling it out of your bank account.
Which is why we put at least $250,000, because it's probably gonna cost more than
It's
it
basically a
is.
loan that you have.
That's what I said. I'm saying loan. It'll be a loan almost.
A line of credit is a loan.
Right. So I'm saying, what if an individual had the money on hand and did not want to take out a loan that they can pay for the,
A requirement for most businesses, they require a line of credit, not what you have in your bank account.
well, I understand. But what I'm saying is there any way we can say for an individual that may have collateral or just capital for $250,000 or cash of $250,000? So what if an individual does not have to take out a loan to do that or want to?
Okay, so me as a banker, I deal with businesses. I had a young man that has over $800,000 in his bank account, but he wanted to give his wife a home health. The state required him to have a line of credit for $250,000. So because he had the $800,000 liquid, they required him to have a line of credit.
So the only way you're saying we can do this if there's a line of credit for $250,000.
I think we're,
Two different things.
okay, so what I think we're doing is now discussing this. So all we're doing tonight is introducing the ordinance. Those questions certainly should be brought up during the public hearing so that after it's gone into the paper, individuals have the opportunity to come to the meeting and hear whatever is being said. So
Okay.
right now.
Okay, my next question, if it's possible. So if there's another question, would this document, the order that we're gonna run in the paper, can it be changed?
If we change it tonight.
So that's the point that I'm making. That's what I'm trying to say. Because see, if you only just say a line of credit, I understand that's what business was required, and I understand that part. What if an individual has $250 at their disposal, and they come in with a letter or can write you a cashier's check for that kind of money? So I'm saying that we don't. I just see how getting locked in just saying a line of credit. Because I don't think every business don't ask for a line of credit. All of them ask for it. Most of them do.
So, again, even if a person had $250,000 cash in their account and it costs $500,000 to restore the building, you still gonna need some more money from someplace, which is against the line of credit.
Even the individual that has a line of credit of $250,000, are they gonna need some additional funds as well?
I'm sorry?
If an individual has a line of credit of $250,000, will they need additional funds if it's $500,000?
I believe it says of at least $250,000. Okay, so is there a motion to introduce the ordinance? Proper
Second.
motion, is there a second? All right, proper motion and second by Ms. Day and Ms. Houston. Gerald, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Bells.
No.
Day.
Yes.
Harris. Did you vote?
Abstain.
Abstain. Houston.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Okay. All right, Last item on the agenda before we go into executive session is review of the general fund financials through February 28th. Joe?
Well, I've got some good news to report on this past month's operation. So year to date, if you look at your sales tax forecast, but I think that with the spring coming on and a lot of economic activity going on, we'll probably make up that difference. If you want to flip over to this second page, or the third page, and we'll start with the departments, and we'll start with the police department. It's always interesting. But another aspect of it is that I've never seen it go this long and do so well. Like for example, just in the month, he had a budget of 80,000 or 81,000, and he actually spent 82,000 or 83. So you can't get any better than that, I wouldn't think. And year to date, he has $8,171 under what his budget of expenses are. So that is excellent. And that's in the 8th month of the fiscal year. Then we go to fire. We've got the same situation. In fact, it's a little bit better. Year to date, over on the right-hand side, shows that we have a budget of $401,000, and he spent $384,000, so that he had a surplus of $17,400, and that's good. And then we go to street. Street has always been a problem because they've always had such huge maintenance costs. And it's no different, but I think they're meeting the challenge. Year to date, they have a budget of $551,000. I mean, that's the actual they spent, $551,000 against a budget of $561, which gave them a surplus for the month of $9,900. That's excellent. Mayor's office, we've talked about that before. That's a big situation where we have a lot of things thrown in there that don't apply to any particular department, such as legal fees, accounting fees, recording fees, consultants, drug testing, things like that. Community center couldn't look any better. Like I say, I have never seen the town go in for 7 months and be under budget. It's just something I've never seen. I really think it's great. Any questions?
Any questions?
Let's get out of here.
No, sir.
You got questions, sir?
I was trying to see some other things to say. Okay, Ms. Noel, let's go to page 1. And you said total revenue is year to date. What is the year to date actual?
What do you say now?
Year to date actual for total revenues: $2,368,384.19. I turn over to page 3. I go to year to date actuals when it comes to expenses. $2,428,851.44.
Well, you see, you're comparing expenses to revenues.
Right.
And they're not the same totals.
I know.
So that's why I'm trying to answer. That's, to me, the answer to your question.
So, right now, with $60,000, we spent $60,000 more than what we bring it in.
In this situation,
that's a deficit.
yeah, this is for 8 months, man, 8 months, you know, that is.
We are, okay, we are in a deficit of $60,467.25.
I've seen it 360,000.
Okay, so what I'm saying is, so you try to paint this picture that everything is perfect, it's not.
No, look, when did I say things?
So now,
Okay, just let them
I'm just saying,
I also
it's
have
so much
concerns.
better.
I
It's
also
so
have-
much better.
I also have concerns on page 3, where it says alderman expenses. It says for alderman expenses, there's $431.20 that's going to alderman expenses.
Yeah, they went to, there was a trip that
Who?
council members went to.
Who and when? No, don't do that, don't do that. Don't do that.
No, 'cause I've already told you that.
No, see, we got to.
You can't tell me what I
No,
can
Mr.
or
Odom,
can't say.
okay, Mr.
I
Odom.
was thinking that they had, a trip that they went to.
So who went on the trip?
Council members.
Which council members?
It was probably in the early part of the calendar year,
So who were the council members?
but it was in this current fiscal year.
Right, so who were the council members that went on the trip?
That's because there was no trip. He's wrong.
I haven't been nowhere in 2 years, so I know what I mean.
Well,
When did they go to the trip?
I have no clue.
The
See,
last
that's
time,
why-
the last time the council traveled was January of '25, when you guys went to Midwinter Conference.
Yeah,
That was
all
the
right,
last
that's what I
time
was
the
thinking
conference,
about, that's what I was thinking.
or wherever it was, I mean, but it was in January, Midwinter.
So again, there's all the expenses for $431.20. And every time the question is asked, for some reason, no one can ever say, what's that expense? And it's not on you, Mr. Odom, anymore. It's not. Because Mayor, you've been made aware of it.
Well, it's,
So if you've
There
been
was-
made aware of it, we should have this thing corrected by now. If it's being keyed wrong or coded wrong, why is it still coded wrong 3 months later?
well, you know what, I'll have to take responsibility for that, because I should have gone in, and I should have recoded it and put it in the right account, so, it's my fault.
Okay.
End of story.
Now, again, then when I go to streets, right? Well, what is, that's on page, it's saying on street 101. What is the special maintenance for the city that the street department is doing?
Oh, that's lights, things like, well, it's not lights, but it's things that come up that we don't expect, and, there's just no category for it other than to come up with something that's pretty much a, all-pervasive description. What are you looking, what page are you on?
On the street.
On 3, you still on 3?
Yeah, I'm on the streets.
He's in the street
On
department.
the street
Gerald.
department.
Let's see, from special maintenance for the city, it says, we budgeted for.
Okay, and also, for example, if you have a storm and you got a lot of debris and all that, and you have to have people go out and you have to hire workers to get it in, things like that happen that you can't really quantify, so it becomes, street special expense.
So what equipment are we leasing for the street department?
It looks like it's one of those, I can't think of the name of it, but it looks kind of like a small Caterpillar. What do you call those?
Excavator.
Track roll.
Yeah, track roll, I think, yeah.
Track roll.
And then, when I go to the mayor's office, we budgeted for the mayor's office $185,600 for the mayor's office. The year-to-date actual is $197,981.95, which means we spent $12,381.95 more than budgeted. So who's watching over how much money we are spending in the city of Tallulah? And that's just in salaries alone.
Well, let me tell you who it is. It's everybody that's involved with what goes on in this town. And you can start with the managers. They have done an exceedingly excellent job this year because they have held down expenses. You talk about who's throwing away money, so to speak. They've held expenses to where that they're in a good position right now with their budgets. So that's who's out watching. I watch, the people in the office watch, the council, the managers watch, it's a whole array of people.
I'm not trying to offend you, Mr. Odom, but as the fiduciary for the city.
Well, you act like you're casting doubt on our ability to cut costs. I think we've done an excellent job.
No, I'm only reading the numbers that you put on the paper, Mr. Odom. And I'm asking questions about the numbers that you put down.
And what?
No, you said I'm questioning you. I'm questioning what you put on paper. So you budgeted $185,000, but the year-to-date actual salary is $197,000. We almost $200,000.
Are you looking at under salaries?
On the salaries, yes.
And
On the salaries. Then I go down for telephones under the mayor's office. You budgeted $9,600. The year-to-date actual spending on the telephone is $10,433.56. That's a lot of money.
Well,
That's $800 difference.
you know, as far as, I will admit,
$10,000 and tell us a lot of money.
there's a lot to be desired when it comes to our telephone
So-
system, I'll admit. You know.
Right, so then we look at the phones, you know, who is Mayor One, or who is Mayor One cell phones? I know one of the thing has your name on it, Yvonne Lewis, then the other says Mayor One. Who is the Mayor One cell
I
phone?
think that's the old cell phone that, Charles Michael had that is in our office.
That we're still paying for?
We still use that because there were some things that you know how you have to get a text to go into certain things, and we haven't changed everything.
And then with also, your personal cell phone is being paid through city funds. So, there's a lot of issues. A lot. Then I see what Earl, I'm gonna stop calling people, I'm sorry. We have a former employee, a couple of them, names are still on cell phones that we're still paying for.
And those cell phones have been given to the individuals who have taken their positions.
So at no time do we change those individuals' names if they're no longer working for the city?
We could change the names. At the end of the day, the phone's still gonna be here, and the charge is still gonna be here. Now, we changed employee A's name to employee B, the names will be changed, but the number is gonna be the same.
Okay, so are all cell phones paid out of, I know they come out of general fund, right? All cell phones are paid out of general fund. Are they?
Well, I think sewer, if somebody has one from sewer, it's paid for
Yeah,
out of
water,
sewer.
water has it as well.
Yeah, so they're paid for out of the different funds, whatever.
Okay, so the chief's cell phone is paid for out of the police department's funds?
General fund,
The fire chief comes out of general fund, even though they have a budget?
yeah. You're talking about which departments you're talking
Yeah,
about?
because I said, the police chief has one, the fire department has one, utilities has one, water has one. So
Well,
all those cell phones being paid out of,
you know what, they would be paid out of the, like, for example, sewer, it would be paid out of sewer department. They're paid out of the, fund that they are in.
I'm just asking questions.
And I will admit, they probably could be firmed up and, you know, put in a position that we could maintain better control over them. You can always do that.
And then again, on page 1 or 2 of the mayor's office, you got for travel for aldermen. It's still saying that $367 was paid to somebody under the travel for aldermen.
So actually, that number is in parentheses, that doesn't mean spent, that means coming in.
What now?
That means that's money that came in. And I believe what happened is, if I'm correct, because I did ask Cindy about that $367. And I think Miss Carla, you, got a check for a, trip, but you didn't get to go. You turned the check in like you were supposed to. My question to Cindy was, if this is that $367, why did it take so long? That was my question to it. But that $367 is in parentheses. That's not money spent, that's money that comes in, that came in. And what Cindy said was, put it down, it's a refund of an expenditure from prior year, because this check was written in January of 2025 for $367.
And there were several other checks issued for the same amount.
Okay. So why wasn't that included in your, revenues? If it came, no.
That's what I just said, if you look at the line, the $367 is in parentheses, okay? That means that's in 2025, And so I asked her, if this is when what she told me was, and I'll read it again, refund of expenditure from a prior year. My question to her was, why did it take so long?
It took a year for a refund to come in, a year?
A refund didn't come in, okay? The check was never cashed. So that money that should have been expended was brought back into this new budget. Again, my question to her was, and I think we're saying the same thing, why did it take so long?
I think I remember that about the check. That's been like January.
Yeah, this
In other words, to show why
January
it was-
25.
To wait long to show that it was taken out of the right fund, you know, that way would be avoided.
You know. So right now, we're currently operating at $60,000 deficit, am I correct? Yes, sir?
Yeah.
Yes.
But I would also say that represents 8 months
Right now,
of stringent budget management and
right now,
whatever.
right now, we're
And
currently.
also, you've also got to take it in conjunction with other years, other months along this way. Never were they this close. So I couldn't be happier, and I'll tell the world that.
So
Let's get out of
So
here.
right now, we're currently operating at $60,000.
Hold on, everybody hold on.
I just couldn't be happier.
Hold on just 1 second, Joe. Councilman Wells, sir, I don't think you finished.
Well, I was just saying, see, right now, we say things are looking good. Then when the
Well,
audit,
a lot better, maybe not good, but a
then when
lot
the
better.
audit comes out, we're gonna have several funds that's gonna exceed revenues. We paint the same picture every year. It looks great, it looks great, it looks great.
Not just for a loan, Toriano, not just for a loan. It's like, that starts happening in like the third or fourth month.
So-
This month, we've gone 8 months, and we're below. You cannot accept, I guess you think I'm lying, I don't know, but we cannot
I never said
get
that,
past the fact that we're 8 months into the new fiscal year, and we're doing this well. As far as budgeting is
Are there
concerned.
any other
This
questions?
means
Are
that.
there any
I'm
other
gonna say
questions?
this-
Are there, no. Are there any other questions?
My only concern is, at the end of the fiscal year, when things are not good, who are we gonna hold responsible? Because if we're never gonna hold anybody responsible for what's happening, then we defeat the purpose. Because we come in every month after month after month, saying things are looking good at this time of the year.
Oh,
Then when,
exactly.
and I always say all the time, when the audit comes out, we're gonna be in a deficit in several funds. And we're a $60,000 deficit right now. Which means it's gonna only get worse because we have no measures to cut expenses.
It's not necessarily gonna get worse, it might, but it might not.
It is.
So, Councilman Wells has made his concerns known. Are there any other questions?
No.
Okay, can we have a motion to, enter into executive session?
Motion to enter into executive session.
Second? Hold on just 1 second. Hold on just 1 second. We have a second? Okay. Mr. Scott, can we have a roll call vote? Gerald, please?
I don't have room. Let's see. Wells,
Yes.
Day,
The restroom.
I'm sorry.
Oh, she stepped out.
Harris,
Yes.
She said yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Okay, hold on just 1 second. because this needs to- Go ahead, already got about a minute. Wait, hold on, everybody, go ahead.